decision. We get it.
Right. If the award issued tomorrow, that's really the purpose of my question. If not the award, if the appeal decision issued tomorrow, that wouldn't necessarily have an impact on what you're asking for here.
No, and really the appeal deals with only one issue and one issue only. It's arbitrator Coldflesh said that, you know, I'm not going to second guess the parties who for 20 years plus have mutually agreed that certain posts are appropriately bid, and that existing bid posts shall remain bid posts. That's the only issue on appeal. Now, the other question for arbitrator Coldflesh is that obviously he identified specific posts, I would call them new posts, that are or not to be bid. And the parties have a disagreement about that. And the parties have been in arbitration over that, and we continue to be in arbitration over that. But basically what we're saying here, as I understand it, is that we don't trust arbitrator Coldflesh, we don't trust arbitrator Zobrak, we don't trust every arbitrator who's ever addressed this issue, and we want you to just eliminate it. Is that basically what you're saying?
I don't believe our testimony had anything to do about trusting anybody.
Moving down the list there, we have the telephone monitor, which is the telephone monitoring system is a system in itself. It monitors the inmate phone calls. We do have officers that sit and listen to inmate phone calls, and the importance of that, of being able to select the person that listens to these phone calls, is the confidentiality factor. A lot of the things that they hear on these telephone calls are intelligence information, and that intelligence information goes to our intelligence office. Some of that stuff is very sensitive, it's confidential, and you know, not everybody can be trusted with confidential information. Again, that's another area where it's technological, some savviness with technology, and you know, not everybody has that. So you know, that's our issue with not being able to select the telephone monitor.
Again, my same question, number of people at that post at any one time?
One.
Some other variables. When you listen to inmates, and I've listened to phone calls from time to time, talk to people on the street, they don't talk like we're talking. They talk in codes. There's buzzwords. One word can mean something else. So you need somebody who's street savvy, if you will. I'll use those words. And that's something that, you know, maybe some younger officers would exhibit because they're just younger. They're plugged into the Twitters and the Facebooks and things like that. Now, those kinds of things, and maybe more familiar with the kind of language that is spoken on the street, if you will. And, you know, it's our job to identify those officers. I have personal experience where phone monitoring has led to significant drug busts coming into the institution. And a Graterford back several years ago uncovered a murder for hire plot where someone was successfully prosecuted and went to jail. So, again, all the officers are trained equally, but some just have more talent in certain areas than others, and we'd like to be able to use that talent.
The search teams that were awarded, again, search teams gather intelligence. They're intelligence gatherers. They don't just search cells. They're out amongst the inmate population all day. They listen to inmate conversations on the housing units while they're searching. Again, they have to maintain a level of confidentiality. the intelligence that they gather could solve an investigation of any sort. And again, the search team officers are in the cells with the inmates. The inmates need to be present, and you know, a lot of the things that they find during those cell searches could help solve some type of investigation that's going on. The sensitive materials, knowing what to look for, especially with gang-related type situations, they have to know what they're looking for while they're and CCTV, the CCTV post is our closed circuit television post, which monitors the cameras within the facility and on the perimeter of the facility, which these officers, again, it takes a little bit savvy with technology based on that they need to be able to move from camera to camera, they need to be able to move from monitor to monitor, and know what to look for when they're looking at the monitor. Making this a bid post required it to be an 8-hour post. And our policy, the DOC's policy, is no more than 4 hours at no more than two-hour intervals. And that's because, of course, you know, if you sit and look at monitors for 8 hours, you know, you're gonna go cross-eyed. But the importance of that post is paramount. They you know, monitor the fences constantly. They're constantly moving through the cameras on the fences, and they have to know what they're looking for. The fence alarms come into that post, and they need to know how to be able to switch to that particular zone so that they can see what's going on, what caused that alarm. They're part of the alarm assessment on the perimeter. And our perimeter is our last line of defense if somebody gets out. The security and safety of the public depend on the officer that's in on that post. And again, the right to select the officers who work that post is very important to management.
Last.
No, I guess just to wrap it up as far as I'm concerned is, you know, I'm the superintendent of a very large facility, and you know, there's a whole lot of operations that go on simultaneously, and some of them are more important than others. Everyone has an important job, but some jobs are just a little bit more important than others. And you know, when it comes to access to the institution or monitoring TVs, that you need to be able to multitask and know how you're going to respond if an incident transpires and you have to move cameras while you're still watching the perimeter and stay in contact with the people you need to stay in contact with, whether it be the phones, which supply a lot of intelligence information, or the search teams that, you know, basically keep the institution free of contraband. You know, these are 4 important jobs, and you know, I think we as managers need to be able to put the people we think best suited to perform those jobs in those positions. Thank you.
Lastly, before we wrap up this proposal, I just want to point out to the panel that in the ZOBRAC interest arbitration language, you'll find that there's language in there that allows management to remove people from a bid post. That obviously is subject to the grievance procedure, and it becomes a major obstacle to do what we want to do. And we believe that under Article 2 of the contract, management's right to direct the workforce, that prohibits our ability. And that wraps up that part.
Any questions from the association?
Sure. Let me just ask Superintendent Murray, a CO in your facility is responsible, one of his job duties, one of his job functions is to be able to work any position that a CO works within your facility, correct?
Correct.
And if he is unable to work any of those positions, he is deficient in his duties, is he not?
I would say so.
All right. So when you talk about at least the 4 particular positions that you're talking about, every CO, under the standing operating procedures, under your regulations, under whatever their job duties fall under, are required to be able to work those positions, correct?
Mhm.
All right. And in addition to that, and this can be a question for you or for anybody else on the panel, we're talking about a change here to Article 33, Section 18. And that particular section says, employees at an institution, boot camp, who are eligible in the job classification will be given an opportunity to bid on such a vacancy, and preference shall be granted on a seniority basis. And then it says this, and this is important, unless it is necessary or desirable to assign otherwise in order to protect the efficiency of the operations. So in fact, right now, if somebody puts in a bid for a post, you have the right to deny that bid, don't you? Based upon...
Based on language.
Right. Now, what you want to do, you don't want to just have the right to deny somebody that bid post. You want to deny that person the right to have an arbitrator decide whether you have a legitimate reason to do so. Isn't that what you really want to do?
No, sir. What I really want to do is match up the best corrections officer for the best job.
Well, that's what it says in the contract. You just want to take away the right for that person to grieve that decision, don't you?
No, sir. I don't want to take anyone's word.
Well, I think the panel can look at the language and understand that you
Objection.
already have the right.
He's arguing.
I'm sorry?
He's just arguing.
I thought he was telling us what to read.
He was.
I am arguing with you, too.
Don't argue with
So,
It's my job.
now, you talked about some of these jobs, you need the ability to multitask.
Correct. I did say that.
Every job that CO does, they have to multitask. Isn't that fair to say?
That's pretty reasonable
Okay.
response, yes.
That's all I have.
Any questions from the panel?
Very briefly, and Superintendent, maybe this is best directed toward, actually maybe both of you. Unfortunately, I am intimately familiar with this issue. And it is my experience that there are within a jail, 25 to 30 different bid posts. Fair to say?
Maybe a little more.
I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
I said maybe a little more, maybe some additional.
Maybe a few more. You've provided us testimony about 4.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything from the panel?
No question.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Rapid fire. Next. Next victim.
Okay, let's jump right into the Commonwealth salaries and wages proposal. I'm going to read this one. Consistent with the need to achieve significant cost savings through these negotiations, the Commonwealth puts forth the following salary proposal. Effective July 1, 2011, roll back the 4% general net pay increase the bargaining unit received. It's actually July of 2011, so that was a mistake on the slide. And place employees on the pay schedule which existed prior to July at their current step. Effective July 1 of 2012, provide a 2% general pay increase to those employees employed on July 1 of 2011. July 1, 2013, provide a 2% general pay increase to those employees employed on July 1 of 2011. July 1 of 2014, a 2% general pay increase to those employees employed on July 1 of 2011. Effective July 1 of 2011, eliminate all service and longevity improvement steps. And additional cash payments for those employees who are at or above the maximum step of their pay scale group.
Brian, could you explain the last one to me, please?
The elimination of the longevity.
Yes, please.
As the contract provides.